Interest rates, where are they going to go? Now, in November last year, we did an interest rate prediction video, and some of that video did not age well. That jacket in here, well, Auckland COVID lockdown will do that to you, but let's talk about the predictions. In that video, we said the 10-year average for the one-year fixed interest rate was about 4.5%, and we suggested this was a really good rate to factor in when you're running the numbers on your investment properties. Now, when we look at the rates today, you can see that some banks are slightly higher than this. Two banks are bang on as of the day we're recording this, and one is a wee bit lower than that. Now, it doesn't mean I got it all right. We got there faster than I predicted, and rates will continue to climb, but it's not a bad start. Now, when we look at the long-term forecasts, totally way off, but I don't feel too bad about that because economists often get their predictions wrong, as the Reserve Bank Governor even said at the most recent press conference.
Which will be proved wrong some way or the other.
Forecasts do tend to be proved wrong one way or the other. So where do we think interest rates are going to go today? Well, when we rerun the 10-year average fixed interest rate for 1 year, you can see it's currently about 4.3%. Now, this is a really good place to anchor ourselves and then adjust from there. So let's look at where we're going. Well, the OCR, the Reserve Bank's interest rate, is likely to increase over time. Now, what does that mean for the one-year fixed interest rate? Well, you can see over time, the OCR, the Reserve Bank's interest rate, and the one-year fixed interest rate almost move together in lockstep. They are very tightly correlated. And on average, there's about a 2.5% margin between those two interest rates. Now, my old buddy, Reserve Bank Governor Adrian Orr, he has just released a new OCR track. This is their forward guidance of where they think the OCR might go if nothing else changes. And you can see it caps out at about 4%. Now, why is the Reserve Bank increasing the OCR to a rate above what we've seen over the last 10 years? And it's all coming down to the Reserve Bank's target. They have to keep inflation between 1 and 3%, targeting that 2% midpoint over the medium term. And in fact, over the last 10 years, they have done a really good job. The average has been 1.6% inflation. But looking at where we're at today, we are way outside that band at about 6.9%. So what's the Reserve Bank to do? Increase the OCR. That is going to decrease inflation, because if our mortgage interest rates increase, we're putting more money towards the bank. That means we've got less money to spend elsewhere. That is going to constrain demand and bring back inflation. Now, what does that mean for interest rates? Well, if we take the OCR track and bang on that 2.5% margin, we see the one-year fixed interest rate peaking at about 6.5%. But here's the thing, you'll notice that the OCR track is coming down after the interest rates increase. Now, the reason behind this is right now inflation is running really, really hot in the New Zealand economy. But once we've tackled that by raising interest rates, we can start bringing that back. And in fact, the Reserve Bank Governor said this at the most recent press conference.
I would like to say that once aggregate supply and demand are more in balance, then the official cash rate can return to a lower, more neutral level.
But this is only the start of our analysis. To get an even more tailored or robust review, I often use independent economist predictions like Tony Alexander's. Here's what he's predicting the one-year interest rate will hit over the next 5 years. Starting out at today's interest rate, starts to peak next year in his view, 2023, at 5.75% before coming back to 4% in 2026, which you'll note is actually below that 10-year average. Now, you'll note that Tony's prediction and the Reserve Bank's OCR track with the margin on top aren't completely lining up 100%. And the reason behind this is the OCR track changes frequently. So if we look at the Reserve Bank's forward guidance today and compare it to 3 months ago, completely different. If we compare it to 6 months ago, they look nothing alike. And the reason is this. The OCR track, the forward guidance, is based on no other economic events happening. And right now in New Zealand, there's a real risk of recession. There's a real risk of recession globally. Now, if we see a recession, what would happen? Well, people aren't going to be out there spending as much. That is going to constrain demand. If there's less demand, there's going to be less inflation. If there's less inflation, well, we don't need to hike the OCR as much in order to get inflation under control. And if the OCR doesn't need to go as high, well, you'll short-term fixed interest rates don't need to climb as high either. So which interest rates should you use when you're running the numbers for an investment property? Here's what I use. Start at today's fixed interest rate. Go up to 5.75%, but then come back. Now, I don't go as low as Tony. From 2025 onwards, I'm using that 10-year average of about 4.5%. Now, what I want to know is, where do you think interest rates are going to go, and what do you think we're going to peak at in 2023, 2024? Let me know down in the comment section below, and while you're down there, hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and toggle that little bell so you get notified about all our future videos.